What is going on YouTube? This is Acid Root. So I'm going to review the second album by Ouija Macc in 2018. Basically, this product is called Waterdamage, and it came out in the late fall of 2018. The thing about this particular product is by this point, Ouija Macc had signed with Psychopathic Records, which is ICP's label as far as those pitches can happen with it. Basically, some of these products that were around in like the late 2010s is Ouija Macc. I mean, he was a part of like a group. He did some albums with like a cat named Swagtooth, some pitches like that. So he was kind of around in like the early 2010s, but the album that caught hit that particular product that caught ICP's attention was Trash Fire, which I reviewed back in early 2023, and then I reviewed Gutter back in April. And I reviewed his Psychopathic Records debut album Gutter Water back in April 2024. So the pitch behind it, this is the second album of 2018 that Ouija Macc put out. This is the second album of 2018 that Ouija Macc put out. So he has pretty prolific schedule as far as these pitches can happen. Definitely like the pitch behind it. This is another classic for Ouija Macc. Just can go ahead and say, now, unfortunately, ICP is not on this album like they were on Gutter Water, but there are some folks on here like Big Hoodoo. He's really the only one that I truly full blown know, I would have to say. There are some other cats on here. It does have some guests on here that are just more low key within the pitch behind it. And that's kind of the thing. Even to this day, Ouija Macc does not have like a standard wiki article about him, which is kind of the pitch behind it. ICP at least does, and folks like that, Big Hoodoo, the ROC, Twisted, some of these type folks, they're kind of with the Juggalo lore as far as those pitches going to happen. But Ouija Macc, despite all that he's done, still does not have like things written about him on Wikipedia. He is at least on like the horrorcore wiki in terms of trying to get like descriptions and biographies about him as far as those kind of go. But he's actually pretty huge in like the the underground. Ouija Macc's a notable enough celebrity within the horrorcore field and Juggalo field as far as those pitches kind of happen. So it's just kind of concept. It just still feels for some strange reason that he still has more low keyness towards him. It's just kind of the pitch that this is another classic here. This is an unexpected one, but it is a different taste compared to what Gutter Water was. I do feel like the Demon Time kind of lashes at Gutter Water. This is not as vicious an album as Gutter Water, I'd have to say. It does definitely have some of that trap turn up, but it's a little bit more swash this time. I'd have to say it's a little bit more melded. There are some at least relative commercial backdrops with some appeal to try to cross over, despite the fact that these aren't the songs that have music videos towards them. There are some ones that remind me of like a little bit of like Kendrick and NF, some of those type pitches. Kendrick from his 2017 album Damn, and NF from like his 2017 album Perception, to some of those type pitches. I mean, it's not just relative to like 2010s like contemporary pop rap as far as those pitches going to happen. But for Ouija Macc, considering the pitch behind it, as underground as he was around that particular time, it's just an excellent type fare that he was trying to cross over some of that. But yeah, this definitely has some good amalgamations. It's pretty blistering, this particular album. He has a series of freestyles on this particular product, so it doesn't have as many full-blown songs, but all these freestyles hit pretty extremely well, I'd have to say. And then on top of that, there's really only one song out of these 16 songs on here that I don't recommend. So yeah, this album's going to get a 10 out of 10. I just would have to say behind it. I look after the overall appeal of this product as far as the outlook of it kind of goes, and just is. I mean, the production fare continues to be excellent. Ouija Macc continues to be crazy, and just the powder cake as far as those pitches going to happen, just the real aspect, just the visceral type stuff. But thing about it is just the fact that the energy kind of feels more here and there this time. I feel like compared to songs, I'm trying to think like if you think of a song like Shreddy Krueger, some of those type ones. The trap turn up is on here, but it's just kind of, it's not in terms of like the carnage. I would say that I definitely feel like Trash Fire was a very vicious album from what I remember of it. I recently purchased Gutter Water, and I do feel like there's some real feral type ones on Gutter Water, like Shreddy Krueger and some of those type ones. I need to listen to more Gutter Water. It's been a while since I need to start listening to more Gutter Water, but at least songs like Shreddy Krueger and some of those type ones that really have like some more carnivorous type bite on there. There's definitely some crazy ones on there. But yeah, I mean, despite all that, this is another classic. It's just kind of the fact that in terms it just has more variety this time, so I look after it. Waterdamage is a pretty feral project, but it's probably just like a shade less crazy this time, I'd have to say, but still good concept. So basically, to talk about some of these songs on here, there were at least 2 music videos, one of which was Spaghetti, and the other of which was Electric Wilbur Loves You. So just within those pitches, it's an interesting pitch to kind of get these. They had music videos for them, so there was at least 2 singles or music videos that were promoted for this particular product, and those were Spaghetti and Electric Wilbur Loves You as far as those pitches kind of happen. So basically, Spaghetti, I'll just go ahead and say that the only song out of these 16 on here that I don't recommend in some fashion would just be the song Bone Saw. And I guess I'll just go ahead and talk about that one just to get that one out of the way. Basically, Bone Saw Basically, it's like a more vintage kind of horrorcore type pitch. It's real shriekage kind of on that particular song. It just really feels like a real kind of bloodthirsty type one to kind of get. I like the tone behind that song if it would have been pulled off better, but this feels like more of just like screamo sessions, more so than much anything that has much junction about it. It's like one of the few ones where it just didn't have like as much arrangement as what it probably needed. But I do like the song title. I like the concept that the song was attempted, but it just didn't pull it off nearly as well as it needed to. I basically get the singles on here and then the rest of the album. Spaghetti is like a staticky and kind of modest buzz distortion about this particular one, kind of an in-between kind of commotion. Smoke a few basic trap cruise around to kind of get here. So I look after this. It's a very staticky and kind of woozy type one to kind of get just within the tone behind it. Just really look after the appeal. This really feels like an electroshock of like a song. I'd say just a good pitch behind that. Just really kind of feeling the smoke as far as those pitches kind of happen with it. It's a little bit like Spaghetti's a little bit more residential just within the tone behind it, but I like the pitch behind this particular song. Another stock highlight for Ouija Macc as far as that kind of goes. Just excellent type pitch to kind of get these follow-up type albums just that quickly, just within the pitch behind it as far as the next psychopathic project to kind of get here. So the quality one for like some residential type fare just continues to have like some vicious trap music just within the tone. Electric Wilbur Loves You is another nice one. It's like a woozy kind of trap R&B. I'd have to say this reminds me of the song Love by Kendrick Lamar from his Damn album from 2017. It's like a relative kind of blue collar workaday to kind of get here. Now it's relative. It's blue collar for Ouija Macc. I'd have to say just within the pitch, at least trying to have some of that to rise above the surface a little bit and kind of say, just some of the tone, usually he's drenched and immersed in like demon time as far as those pitches kind of happen. As far as those pitches kind of happen with it, you just don't really see him come up for air too much as far as that particular kind of goes. Something that could probably be played between like the hours of, obviously like 9 o'clock a.m. to about 3 or 4 o'clock p.m. I'd have to say most of this, and even this particular album is a little bit more dazzled this time, a little bit more staticky and just more swirling, I'd have to say, but still the concept that it does fit. It's like a good compliment to Demon Time, but I do like the approach of Ouija Macc having some different type aspects to be able to say that he's aware of like blue collar and some of those type tones that just like the standard Target and Starbucks Commerce, Panera Bread, some of those type folks just within particular as far as that kind of goes. Standard more Walmart era pitches like that, I'd say it's just within the tone. It's at least than the pitch of having like, this is still underground within sense. It's not going to be like a hook from like Bruno Mars or like someone like that, an NF hook or something like that. Just trying to think of some other folks, like Rihanna in 2017, 2018, something like that. But it is pretty good appealing and is a good aspect for just the immersive, just normal kind of vicious demon time with like a little bit of pop R&B in there. It's a good concept. So yeah, I'm just gonna tear through some of these other ones just to get some of these. Vanish is a real nice one. It's like a real commercial type beat, at least for like the pitch behind like the normal murkiness that Ouija Macc kind of has. It says Big Hoodoo on there. It's like a popping kind of trap turn up. I'd have to say vintage kind of Ouija, get crunk. Have to feel like about this one. There's some vanilla club noise kind of get here, and it's like a breadwinner. I would definitely feel like this has some commercial snap about it. So this is just a real nice one to kind of get just within the tone behind it. When you're saying that Big Hoodoo of all folks is like commercial snap about this, it's a pretty excellent concept just to show you how deep in the rabbit hole that some of this type of stuff can really get just within the vicious type swirl of it. But this is a real excellent type one. This whole album's pretty blistering just within the tone about it. But this is probably one of the more immediate ones. If like Ouija Macc's aura is just a little bit too dark, swirling, and vicious for some of these folks just to be able to say this is like one of the more approachable ones to kind of get here, just like Electric Wilbur Loves You and some of those type ones. I feel like another relatively commercial type one on here would probably be Drunk Dial. This is like a relative aspect. Once again, another attempt at like a radio grab to kind of get like some pop trap and R&B trap R&B is like a dreary kind of relative pop trap sludge. I'd feel like about this one, Drunk Dial. It's like a commercial and above surface for Ouija Macc. I would definitely feel like this is just some good workaday slag. So it's just a good concept. Maybe you just, if you're really amongst the demon time, most of the time, like this album depicts, I would probably say this would just be like a concept of maybe just one day getting Krispy Kreme donuts or something like that, having to be awake at, 8 a.m. or 10 a.m., something like that. Just kind of an in-between type day, kind of a conduit day, just figuring things out, getting some bills paid, getting stamps, some of those type pitches, just being able to say within it. This kind of Drunk Dial, kind of hungover type song, regroup type song, kind of get here. Dead Body Man 3 is a real excellent one. This is one of the album's most haunting and severe beats. I'd have to say it's real this real definite immediate one to kind of go for here. It's like a demon time outing. I would feel like about this one, some more nightlife to kind of have and just really enjoy the night air as far as those pitches kind of happen. There's some real hauntingness, some real ghastliness. This typical Ouija Macc, a little bit calmer, but I still feel like it's a relative nice one, just more like within a concentrated type of feel of the lyrics it had to say. It's a good highlight. This is another immediate one to kind of get here. It's like some trap turned up. It's like a swirling kind of vicious pace, kind of head trip gnarl to kind of get here. I'd say a great vehicle thump and smoke sesh ammo to kind of have for some of this. And this is like some good song to get tore up and just have some dap about this. There are plenty of songs on this particular album to really get tore up to as far as those pitches kind of happen just within the pitch behind it. Hella Smoke Edge, not quite as much. Like I feel like I'll probably get. I'm gonna see amongst some of these as to how many of like the standard crazy type factor. Thinking of like more horrorcore type snarl with some of this type tone. I would definitely feel like there's at least a few of these on here, but once again, I do feel like Trash Fire and Gutter Water are probably a little bit crazier just within the pitch. But the production here is definitely excellent. It's just a little bit more kind of this. It just feels more like a mingle type project. This kind of has more ambience about it and just more marination about this particular product. Just kind of like cool it a little bit just within the tone behind it more so than like the full blown snarl. But definitely the lyrics don't depict that, but this is kind of the tone just within the aspect behind it. It's just relatively this kind of thing. So to get to some of these, like Murder Vision's a pretty highlighted one. It's like a demonic and raving kind of cult-like carnage of a song, I'd have to say here. This is great for waking up past 9 p.m. I'd have to say in like the autumn night. I would feel like waking up past 9 p.m. in like the autumn, I would feel like this is just some good night owl fun to kind of get here. So this is definitely one. Right down to the title being called Murder Vision. This just feels like something that you would listen to. Just the concept of just Murder Vision just feels like a hypnotizing type one to kind of get here just for like some standard turn up, but just enjoying the excitement of 9 p.m. just nightlife as far as that kind of particular kind of goes. Just typical kind of Ouija Macc as far as those fairs kind of happen, just a little bit more just kind of militant. I just would have to say within the tone behind it, but I do like the aspect of good real carnivorous type one and a nice highlight to kind of get here. Good concept of just being amongst the night. Nardwar Glock is like a dreary and kind of slurred traverse and out and about. I would feel like about this one, just some vehicle noise and kind of a glaring kind of get hell lit type song to kind of get here. This is definitely one where you'd be high as hell, just really appreciating the times. Just, even if it's more local type noise, I'd have to say it's still a pretty good concept. Just on foot, just amongst like the autumn pitch as far as that kind of goes. Just maybe cooler weather, some of that type fare, just appreciating the times. Go get some Taco Bell, go get some burritos, some pitches like that, just stand fair, just homies type kickback and just basic kind of simple powwow, some of that typeness, just kind of get just in the night air as far as that kind of happens with it. Just some good concepts. I said Bigot Basher's a nice one as well. It's like a grim and ghostly kind of autumn stroll music. This is another one for being out and about, like Nardwar Glock and some of these other type ones I'd have to say. Like Dead Body Man, some of these type ones, I'd have to say it's like a basic rumination about this particular one. Has a little bit more food for thought on this particular song. Just a local smoke one, get nachos, donuts, some of that typeness, just kind of get here. Yeah, this typical kind of haunting Ouija Macc as far as that particular kind of goes. And I think the concept of it is just the fact that Ouija Macc has had 3 classics back to back here. Just everything he did between 2017 and 2019 is just pretty effective as far as that particular kind of went. So it's just a lot of these are, I feel like, stock highlights in terms of like the distinction behind them. I mean, there's definitely some immediate ones on here. I do feel like Spaghetti's a pretty inspired, just kind of relatively kind of offhanded but still excellent kind of single as far as that particular pitch kind of goes. Definitely like the static you feel. And there's some songs like Drunk Dot. There's some songs like there's some songs like Vanish, Dead Body Man 3, and like Bigot Basher, some of these type ones that would be more immediate type ones to kind of get here just in the tone behind it. I'd say Murder Vision's a pretty nice one within a relative sense. Some of these type ones, Swang is some highlighted ones. There's just some good relative just commotion just amongst the nightlife. I'd say Majesty is another quality highlight on here. It's like a fiery kind of mixtape like turn up noise. I feel like about this one goes in with the lyrics. I would definitely feel like some good hangout fun and just a grim the song is grim and quick just within the pace behind it. Quick time as far as that particular kind of happens, and this one gets things live and pretty easily. I'd have to say it's just an excellent type fare for some of this. Majesty is pretty similar to Murder Vision. I'd have to say the same type of flair just within it. Just feels like a mixtape cut from Ouija Macc if he did mixtapes back in like the Dat Piff days. Some of that type fare to kind of get here. Just an excellent type fare for that. It's really almost feels like drill, but not quite. Just within the tone to something circa early 2019. Some of those type fares, if drills have it, if mixtape drill were more within that format. Slipknot freestyle. I don't know if I talked about this one, but it's like a woozy kind of gothic night commute. I feel like about this one, just some bleary production, like vintage kind of late 2010s juggle. It's like vintage kind of late 2010s juggalo gather type music. Just kind of get here, and this is a pretty good bop for that. Songs like Slipknot freestyle and Bigot Bash are some of these type ones, and like Dead Body Man 3, some of these type pitches. It's more ghastly kind of 3-6 Mafia like this stroll type music. Just pick up like Frozen Burritos, some of that type of stuff. Just kind of gets a typical kind of fanfare with that. I would say Carbon Fiber Coffin is another highlighted one, as well as like a murky kind of amongst the night era. I'd feel like about this one, just some goodness about that particular feel, this real crisp kind of feel good. I'd have to say smoke a few and homies gather to kind of get here. So it's just amongst your pals, just some pitches like that, just doing standard tasks, getting some tasks, doing standard tasks, getting some errands done, just smoke on the go pitches like that. Just get some good goodies and some of that type fare just be able to have. Yeah, just some good kickback, backyard smokish type fare, just pitches like that, just kind of traverse like that standard gothic goodness, I'd have to say. Bitch Down freestyle. I don't know if I talked about this one, but this is like a blissed out as fuck and kind of tripping, nice craze to kind of get here. It's like a factory kind of Ouija insanity, I'd have to say about this one. This one gets pretty feral. So this is definitely one of the more feral type ones on here, just vintage alike. The more just complete craze, kind of just more carnivorous type pitch. Ouija Macc shrieks on this particular song, so it's an excellent type pitch. Kind of get some of this standard craziness just within the fare behind it. This is probably one of the ones. I do feel like there's some other ones on here, like at least I'd probably say this might be one of the craziest songs on the album in terms of that relative type fare. This is one of the ones where you get the most tore up on it, I'd say. There are some other ones that are at least some good smokish type ones, like Nardwar Glock is definitely a real one where you'd be pretty burnt and just overall blitz as far as that particular pitch kind of happens. But I feel like, Bitch Down freestyle is definitely one of the more highlight type ones and good concepts. And I think I've talked about every song on this particular album with the exception of Dusty Finger Hut. So I'm going to get to that one and we'll just get to the rest of the album as far as that kind of goes. So Dusty Finger Hut's like a warped and woozy kind of trap knock. I'd feel like about this one, just some good autumn stroll and local motion to kind of get here. I'd say it's like a creeping kind of highlight. This is another one that goes with like Bigot Basher and Dead Body Man 3 and some of those type ones. I'd have to say there's some excellent type concepts. Spaghetti, some of these type ones. Carbon Fiber Coffin, some of these type ones just to be able to get. I mean, a lot of this is just a lot of just local kind of noise. I realize more about this now that I think about it. A lot of this has more residential type fare just within the pitch, which is not a problem whatsoever. Which is not a problem at all. I look after the pitch behind it. Just a lot of these. There's more than 4 or 5. There's more than a few songs for residential homies. Just kick back, just in neighborhood romps, pitches like that. Just some good concept, just to pick up some burritos, some Taco Bell, some KFC, some pitches like that, some donuts, some of that type fare, just to be able to get and really get crunk towards it. Subway, some of this type of just to be able to get. Just really appreciate the concept, like some kickback, just like some smoke is just being glitz as hell, seeing what's up, just within the concept, just some standard dap and just kind of commotion. Look after it. But yeah, that's the tone behind it. So yeah, I would basically have to say the album, in terms of the score, yeah, the album gets a 10 out of 10. The Soja score, I'm going to go ahead and give I'll probably give the Soja score like a 10 out of 10. I just look behind it. The only reason why I wouldn't is just the concept of some folks might question if Ouija Macc has more of like a learning curve. I know that he might in some cases get flack. I feel like there's some folks that feel like he's just not a lyricist or something like that. I don't know if that translates like the Juggalo fold as far as those pitches kind of happen. It definitely shouldn't. I mean, this is just real carnage of like productions on it. It's like another excellent follow up. It's a little bit more melded this time. Like I said, it's just not quite as like turn up in terms of like the viciousness, not quite as much of a full bound social type project compared to like Trash Fire and Gutter Water. But I do feel like it definitely has the aspects of just kind of being a little bit more melded and just kind of more spread out just within the commotion, just kind of more low key type stuff and just more back to basics in terms of like this kind of house party type fares just within a relative set. I mean, it's not like house party like pounding like several shots of liquor, some of that type fare, but just basic commotion, basic kind of hood rat, kind of standard hoochie chicas type fare just within a local type sense, and then just the concept of smoking with homies, some of that typeness, basic jackass, and just kickback, Pulp Fiction, some of that type fare, just standard kickback, just within the tone behind it. It's just a little bit more back to basics, I'd have to say, but it is an excellent concept, so I look after it. But it keeps the hauntingness. This feels like a Juggalo alternative to 3-6 Mafia as far as those pitches kind of happen, just circa like early 2019, late 2018, I'd have to say. So it's pretty relevant to today's times. I definitely feel like it's a real blistering type album. So in terms of the future, like Ouija Macc has dropped a couple albums. I know he dropped a collaboration album with Darby O'Trill back in early 2024, and I want to say he even dropped a recent album as recent as like September, October 2024. So he has some stuff out as far as those pitches going to happen. We're going to get to some more of these. The next one I'm probably going to get to is like Resistance, The Walk to Wasteland, which has like the album cover, like a pack of cigarettes that I'd say, which is a pretty dope concept to be able to get that. But look, after I'm going to get to that one, there might be another one in between called like 50 Shades of Dead. I'm not as sure about that one, but we'll get to some of these. I'll just have to get with the order behind them, get to some more of these. But this is another classic. It's a more melded type project. This more localized is within the pitch behind it, but still pretty vicious here.